Good evening, sir. My name is Arti Padmaraja.
My name is Priya.
My name is Santosh.
My name is Ramya Saravanan.
Thank you so much for allocating your time for this interview, sir. This interview actually we're doing for language acquisition assignment purpose. So let me pass to Santosh.
Once again, good evening, sir. May sir introduce yourself?
My name is Jacob Matthew, and I teach at SMK Subang Utama. I've been a teacher for almost 34 years, and I'll be retiring probably in 2 or 3 years more to go. Yeah.
So, and also, can I know what's your school name?
I teach at SMK Subang Utama. That is my present school that I'm in right now.
Oh, all right, sir. And also, how's your experience about your English teacher?
It's been a fantastic experience. It's one of my most enjoyable moments in life that I've got wonderful school with wonderful students like Arti and her gang that I enjoy teaching the most. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. Okay, so the first question is, what are the strategies you applied in class when you teach your English students particularly?
Okay, can you name me the strategies first? Because we don't use all these strategies after many years of teaching. What has happened is we use whatever we can that will suit at the moment, at the time for the students. Maybe some of the strategies, so I will see whether we still use this strategy that you have, because what I learned about 30 years ago when I was in university, I don't think it is used at all because strategies have changed. Yeah. So when you tell me strategies, can you name me some strategies that then I'll see whether we are using it or not.
Like inquiry-based learning, like when you teach according to the case study, like inquire something. Do you use that strategy, sir?
Yeah. So once you give me the title, inquiry-based teaching, already got what it is. Basically, inquiry method is never something that has been stopped, just that it has been named as inquiry. Basically, it is all about students looking for information in their classrooms. Yeah. So inquiry is actually very powerful because it gets people to think and search for things that is suitable. Okay. So in our classroom, what we do is we do a lot of asking students to do a research work, and from the research work they present. So this is a lot of inquiry. That means they inquire a lot of information by doing their own research work. And after doing their research work, they actually present. It sounds like almost like you are in university, but it has gone down to secondary school. Now, secondary school students are also practicing this, which is very good for them because they search for information, they inquire, or they go in for looking for information, and then they learn a lot during the whole process. So this process, this strategy is actually a very good strategy, and until today, we are still practicing it.
So do
What's
you
your
use
other strategy?
technology in English while teaching?
Okay, technology is something we cannot run away from. Technology is also, again, we try to bring in the students into the computer lab so that they can actually do research work. Okay, and because of COVID, what has happened is our students have become a little bit more savvy. The teachers also have become a little bit more savvy. Savvy in the sense that they all know how to use their computers and they know how to do presentations and so on. So sometimes we encourage our students to hand in their work online. So, and also they actually can do a lot of searching and getting information and so on. For example, if we do ask them to look for an essay, and then they probably will copy from ChatGPT and so on to assist them to write. But we always encourage our students to have their own version of things. Yeah. I think ChatGPT is a good platform, but we must make sure that we don't abuse what is there, kind of a thing. Yeah. So I think technology is very powerful. It is very good, and we cannot say no to technology at all. I'm from a dinosaur age, which means Mine is like many years ago. We never used technology at all. Now we see more technology being used as the days go by. Now, if I come into a classroom and if I just teach, I need to be as interesting as possible for my students to pay attention. But if I use my technology in my classroom, I show a screen, I show a slide, I show them videos, the students are more attracted, the students are more interested in the lesson compared to if we call it chalk and talk. So we just use our whiteboard, marker pen, and then we just talking every time. It can be very boring for students. So technology has helped to enhance the lessons. So the lessons become better and more interesting for students.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. So moving on to the second question. What are the issues you face when you teach? There are so many strategies, sir, but like there's so many strategies, so it's okay.
Okay. So you give me two, that's good enough for you?
Yeah, maybe another one more, maybe behaviorism strategy, maybe. Like,
Okay.
for example, when you teach English, like, do you have noticed that students also turn their way for whatever you're learning, like whatever they are learning?
Okay. Behavioral is very interesting because I think as a teacher, you cannot come into the classroom and, okay, I must teach this. So I go into the classroom just to teach. You need to teach because these students are going to learn from you. So you must have behavioral strategies that you need to look for, that you'll find that you can actually help students understand what behavior would actually help them and how to, the best way to help them in their studies to absorb, to move along with the lessons. Otherwise, the teacher is a world of her own. The students are another world. So you find two different worlds and they're not connected. The only way connection can come in is when you actually prepare whatever you have for the students. Yeah. So in the process, you need to see what is the best behavior that will help them to enhance the lesson. Now, if you are teaching in an urban school, it's different from teaching in a rural school. And you might get the experience of going. My first experience was, RT knows, was teaching in a Chinese school in a small little town called Banting. So teaching in a Chinese school, the whole idea of how the students absorb lesson is very different from my present school that I'm in. Yeah. So we need to actually find the best ways students can actually learn, so that the lesson becomes effective when it's being taught. Yeah. So I think behavioral is very, very important, not only in the learning process and also understanding the students so that this method will be best for the students to understand. Because if, again, we have got the mind of like, okay, I want to help the students. What is the best thing that I need to do to help the students? So we need to like study the behavior of the students so that you will actually understand what is the best way. Okay, I think English is not so difficult compared to any other subject. Certain subjects, if the students don't understand the topic, it's the job of the teacher to change the method so that understanding the behavior of the student, because if the students are actually, we call them kinesthetic students. Kinesthetic students are students who cannot stay still, especially for boys. Not blaming you, Santosha, but boys, most of them, they cannot just stay still. Girls can stay still longer because girls basically, scientifically proven that they can actually sit down with a book and they can read because of the structure of their body. Males, on the other hand, the structure of the body is a little bit different. So every 20 minutes, they will stand and they will go. So in other words, we understand the behavior of a boy and a girl, how they behave, the behavior of somebody who prefer action classes instead of sit down and listen class. Sit down and listen class work for certain times. If your class is engaging in, okay, we're going to play a game now. Okay, that will require students to stand and then they're going to move around. Those kind of actions actually help students to understand lessons better. So if you study behavioral actions kind of thing, you find that one of the theories is if you put a carrot in front of a student, that means you give them some motivation. They actually want to take part and they want to do, or you're going to give them the win kind of thing. So what they do is they want to compete with all the other people in the classroom. So if that happens, your English lesson will definitely be an interesting English lesson. That student want to take part kind of thing. So I think it's very important to understand this whole idea of behavior of students, but it's, I think, also this whole idea of two side. That means the teacher also needs to come to this idea that the students are very different. I cannot use one method, one strategy that will help all my students to become better in English. I need to use different strategies kind of thing. Oh, yeah, all right, done with that.
Understood. Thank you so much, sir, for the explanation. So moving on to the
Sure.
second question, what are the issues you face when you teach English in classroom? Like, for example, sir told just now that students might be in another world and teachers might be in another world, so they have to think. So that type of issues, what are the issues you face?
Okay, for an English classroom, okay, Arti would know I never had any problems actually. I got no issues teaching English with all my students. But okay, if I want to find issues, the issues will be number one, if the students are not exposed to English language at all, their families don't speak English, the surrounding that where they come from, they don't speak English, but they come into a classroom and you're teaching English, they might not be able to speak the language, so they will be very shy. So when they're very shy, they don't want to make mistakes because their friends will laugh at them. So if that is going to happen, that becomes an issue. So the teacher needs to make sure that it's a very conducive classroom. Mistakes are perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong in you speaking Roja English because you just started to learn the language. And everyone must also respect each other. That means you also get the good students to help the weak students, and the weak student is okay for you to go and ask the better students and so on. So the whole classroom becomes a good classroom for learning. Yeah. So the issue number one would be people who are shy to speak because they've got limited exposure to the language. If they come from a home where Appa, Amma all speak English, my friends all speak English, little bit easier. Okay, here comes issue number two. Issue number two, with students having a lot of tuition classes, art classes, swimming classes, all kinds of classes that they have after school. You give them any homework, you won't get back any homework. So the homework becomes the teacher's homework. So you must have a strategy to solve that problem. The only way to solve that problem, which I do with most of my classes, is we give them time to do it in the classroom itself. Yeah. So they actually finish up the work and they hand it in then and there, which also helps actually if you practice. English paper 2 has got timing for it. Every essay is about, we have 15 to 30 minutes for each essay. So if you take 15 minutes and they make them write the essay, you actually practice the students to write 15-minute essay. If it's a 30-minute essay, you tell them, okay, are you ready? You've got 30 minutes, start now. So it's 30 minutes. They actually practice writing 30 minutes lesson. 30 minutes essay kind of thing, which helps them in the actual SPM to practice it in that way. So we find that homework is definitely a problem. If you ever give homework, you only get 3 or 4 or 10 students out of 30 students in a classroom responding to the lesson. They finish and then they hand it. But I think the better method for it would be do it in the classroom itself. Okay, unless it is like a research work. That means, okay, guys, I need you to go back and search for something, and then you ask them to look for stuff. Now, if the students are actually very interested with the lesson, they will go and search. If the students are not interested in the lesson, chances of them looking for any information very slim. So it is very important that as we go into a classroom to teach, we need to be excited, we need to be interested, and then the students will be interested in your lesson in return. Yeah, so that's my issue number 2. If I have one more issue, it would be lack of reading. students don't read. That means what is in the classroom is what they get from a classroom for that particular lesson. They do not do anything extra. That means reading very limited. Yeah, so we find that students don't really pick up books to read and so on. So I came up with a method where if I want to get students interested in reading, what I do is I pick up a book, I tell them a story of the book, but I don't complete the story. Then I tell them, go and look for this book, read it, and the ending of the story, I'm not going to tell you. Go home and read it. So students will actually like, that sounds like an interesting book. Let me go pick up the book, go online, get an e-book or something like that, and I will complete reading the books. That I tried with RT in the class when we did Shakespeare's work, Macbeth. Yeah, I remember that now. When we did those kind of stories, I stop it halfway and I get them to go and read. Whether they read or not, I don't know. But I think that is a very good strategy that you actually encourage students to read. Issue number 3 would be students not spending time in reading, because the only way for them to improve in English language would be to read. Yeah, practice makes perfect. Yeah, so students need to read. Yeah, that is issue number 3. Enough issues? Okay, all right.
Thank you so much. So I'll pass to Priya right now for the closing question.
Okay, so for the third question, how do ESL teachers address linguistic challenges among students?
And I see the question is written here, 5 challenges.
Yes.
Okay, am I talking about linguistic challenges as in learning English language among students? Is that so? You want to rephrase the question for me and ask me the question again?
Like how do ESL teachers address linguistic challenges among students? And sir can give me like 5 challenges.
Okay, doesn't that sound like question number 2 also? The issue and the challenges will be about the same, right? How do ESL teachers address linguistic challenges? Yeah. Okay, maybe I can actually talk about, if it's just linguistic, maybe the earlier one is more of learning the language by itself. Linguistic will be the language itself, yeah? So number 1, one of the challenges would be the influence of mother tongue. That means if you are a Chinese or an Indian or a Malay, we realize that students actually speak like the language has influenced them a lot. Yeah, so Indian students have got a certain way of talking, Chinese students a certain way, and Malay students a certain way. And sometimes they like to use, because of the confusion, yeah. For example, economy, the word economy will be like said in Malay and not in English, when we actually say it in another way. So I think there's an influence of their mother tongue, or did you eat your lunch? Which is also not in English, because that is a literal translation from Mandarin for eating lunch. Whereas in English, we say, did you have your lunch? Because lunch is understood is eating. So I think there is a lot of influence of another famous one when the students come looking for another student in the classroom. Teacher, I'm here finding for John. John is never lost. Why are you finding John? So that is also actually a translation from Bahasa Melayu. So students actually bring in their language that they learn into English language. And this is actually a challenge. Yeah. So I think this is something that needs to be addressed. And we just need to help the students to correct themselves in the right and correct manner so that they'll be able to improve in their English language. Other than that, I think not only in the spoken word, but it's also found in the written word itself. The spelling of words also becomes a challenge for students. So linguistically, we all know that when it is another language, especially Bahasa Melayu, you spell it in a certain way, and in English, you spell it in a certain way. So because of this influence, I think this becomes another challenge. And again, with a lot of practice, the students will definitely improve themselves. Challenge probably number 3, I can't think of anything right now, a linguistic challenge among students. Can I come back to question number 3 later?
Sure.
Yeah.
So for the fourth, what are some common non-language related difficulties your ESL students face, and how do you address them? Can give me like 5 difficulties?
Y'all are squeezing me like this, okay? And they're like turning me, trying to get all the answers from me, kind of thing. Okay. It's not like 2 or 3 are joining me. Okay, 5. Challenge, give me 5. Your difficulties, give me 5. All right. Okay. I will try. Okay. Your question is, what are some common non-language related difficulties your students face, and how do you address them? I think one of the, if it is non-related, language related, is their background. I think if they come from low economic families, that means they come from very poor families, it does affect the students and their performance. The well-to-do students, they actually go for English class here, English class there. They go for a lot of tuition classes and all that. That actually helps them with their, that helps them in the whole idea of preparing the language. Whereas low economic students, they come into the classroom with very limited language in the classroom. Number 2, it is also, this happened after COVID. Students come into the classroom, they are actually somewhere else. They are not there in the classroom. That means physically they are in the classroom, but in their mind, they are looking at you like this, but they are actually not there. They are somewhere else altogether. Yeah, because there is some issues that they are facing. There is some challenges that they are facing out there. It can be family problems. It can be financial problem. It can also be relationship problem. If they have a boyfriend, girlfriend, and those kind of things. So their mind is actually not in the classroom. Their mind is actually about, oh, why he said that to me just now? Huh? I'm very, very disappointed why he told me that. So that sentence is running in your mind, but your English teacher is teaching in front. So the student is actually not ready for the class at all because of psychologically, the student has been affected by something that has happened earlier. So when the student is in the class, he is not able to really follow the class. So he's in another world altogether. Ramya, why are you smiling like that? Talking from experience. No, right? Okay, just wondering whether Santosh is cool and composed. He has got nothing. I had no reaction from him. He's like very cool, only all throughout. So I was wondering, like, okay, Ramya is smiling away. It sounds like, okay, she has gone through this before, kind of a thing. Yeah. But I think some point in life as a student, all of us have gone through this. Yeah. A lot of things run in our mind, kind of thing. I think that is some difficulties that students face. Their own psychological mind. Number 2, their family itself. I think number 3, I think sometimes teachers do not give opportunity for students to build themselves. The teacher comes in the classroom. I have to do this. I got my lesson plan. I just teach what I have to teach. Whether you understand or don't understand, I don't care. I just do my job. At the end of the day, I get my salary and I go off. And there are some people who are in that category, which I hope the 4 of you will never become like that, okay? Yeah, I tell you, you will enjoy your classroom. You enjoy your classroom because you enjoy teaching. The students will enjoy you as a person, and they will enjoy your classroom, what you have to offer. Yeah, so I think the third thing is opportunities not given by students, by teachers to students. That is my third challenge or difficulty that I would mentioned here. I think it is also, if I say teacher, I also would say that the school is also responsible in some of the difficulties that students face. In my school, Subang Utama, we actually create a lot of opportunities for students to use English, which we will not see in a normal sekolah kebangsaan. In most sekolah kebangsaan, it's only Bahasa Melayu. So students are not exposed to English. English is only when the English teacher comes into the classroom and all the other related English subjects. Because if you do chemistry, bio, physics, probably they will do it in English. But again, some teachers don't also teach that in English. But in Subang Utama, we have got a lot of programs that we do with our students. For example, we do things like we encourage our students to do public speaking. So during recess time, students will actually have a speaker's corner, or in the canteen, they will actually give speeches. Those who want to listen, listen. Those who don't want to listen, it's okay, just enjoy your food. So they have got speaker's corner. They also have radio DJ. Every morning, the students meet in the hall. Alternate is one day English, one day Malay, one day English, one day Malay. Students will come as early as 7 in the morning, and they will actually DJ the whole thing, and they have songs and all those kind of things. So that creates opportunity for students. We also run this thing called Model United Nations in our school. So we are one of the few schools in Malaysia that runs MUN, Model United Nation, and we encourage all our students to take part. Yeah, so we do a lot of programs in our school to help students to improve their English language, and that decreases the difficulty and increases the opportunity for students to do well in English language. Yeah. So those are my limited difficulties that I can give you, Priya. Yeah.
Oh, okay, sir.
Sure. Okay, so let's move on to the 5th and 6th question. Ramya.
Hello, sir. So the first question from me is, what advice will you give to the new ESL teachers based on your experience, sir?
Okay. What would I give the new ESL teachers? I think number one, they need to make sure they come prepared into a classroom, that they already know this is what the lesson is going to be for the day. Number two, make necessary preparation for the lesson. That means you need to make sure you have a good flow in what you want to do, and you know the timing. Sometimes it's single lesson, sometimes double lesson. So you prepare yourself for a single lesson. This is the activities that I do. Number three, now you have got your lessons all prepared. I think you need to also prepare your students. Need to understand who your clients are. Your client are your students. If they are weak in the language, you need to find every opportunity to encourage them. Every other time you can actually say, good, I like that. That's an improvement. Or you need to keep it positive as much as possible, because motivation or positive reinforcement like that helps students to actually develop themselves, and they become more confident in their lessons, kind of thing. Also, number four would be don't be afraid to make mistakes. If you make a mistake, you just tell the student, I made a mistake. You know, sometimes I write things very fast on the whiteboard. RT and her friends were actually, Mr. Jacob, there's a wrong spelling there. Oh, then you appreciate them like, oh, thank you very much. You're very observant, very good. So it's perfectly normal, because we are all humans and we all can make mistakes at any time. And the students will actually understand you better, and they appreciate you, instead of like, oh no, I'm challenging you. And then you make a mistake a second time, and then you're going to go like, what am I going to use? Oh, I'm challenging you. Students will know you are actually lying. Students, they know a lot of things. Yeah, they might not be good in the language, but they know a lot of things. So I think it is important that we be truthful to our students and just help them in the process. Number 4 or 5, I'm not sure now. I think it is good that as you give work to the students, you will actually spend time for every single one of your student. You get to know every single one of them. That means they know you, you know them, kind of thing. Because when you know your students and you teach, you'll find that your lesson is very effective. If you don't know your students, your clients, and you're just teaching, half of the lesson is actually gone. I also believe that if you actually do it with all your heart to teach them, the students will feel that you love what you're doing, and they will in return give you back the same thing. If you don't show that you're interested in the lesson, the students also will show you that same kind of a feeling that you don't really enjoy what you're doing. Yeah. So as new ESL teachers to be, I think it's important that you learn to love the subject, the English language itself, and you want to impart knowledge and give your students the best that you can. That is my advice to all the new ESL teachers.
So moving to the next question, which is the last question. How do you handle cultural differences in your ESL classroom, sir?
Okay. Cultural differences. We have students who come from, because we are in Malaysia, right? So it is very diverse. I think it is not so difficult for English compared to BM. BM, you have got Malay, and then you got Malay students. They will show that they are very good in the language, they're very powerful, and the others think they're very weak. Whereas for English, it doesn't belong to any one of them. It doesn't belong to the Chinese, doesn't belong to the Indian, doesn't belong to the Malay. So in that sense, English plays a very neutral role. And I think we just have to engage the students. Like, I actually talk about festivals that the students celebrate every one of the festivals. So we help our students to appreciate why people celebrate Hari Raya, why the Hindus celebrate Deepavali, why the Chinese celebrate Chinese New Year, and so on. So in that way, students will actually understand and respect each other's culture and the diversity of our country. And that will decrease any fear, any unknown stuff, and the students will learn to respect and love each other's culture also. And I think the other thing that you can do is, if students are put into groups and they are asked to talk about a certain culture, like group A, you talk about the Indians in Malaysia. So they actually, in the group, there's already Chinese, Malay, Indian students in the group, and then you ask them to present. That will actually help students to, oh, this is what our Indian friend, I didn't know the Indians actually do this, and so on. And I think in another group, if you give them the Chinese culture in our country, and they go and do a little bit of research work and they present, they actually learn to appreciate each other's culture. And that difference is appreciated, and we enjoy having that. I also allow my students to bring food into the classroom. During Deepavali, our Indian friends will bring all their cookies to school. During Hari Raya, sorry, 1 minute. During Hari Raya, the Malay students will bring their food into the classroom, and we exchange the food. They share the food with everyone in the classroom. So the class becomes like one happy family, and they appreciate each other's culture. And that will also help in understanding and appreciating the difference in all the cultures in Malaysia. Yeah, that's it.
Thank you so much, sir.
Next one from us, sir.
Okay.
Thanks for allocating your time for our interview, sir.